Hello. My face. The coding screen. Yep. Some loud noises. Okay, let's get started. See how we're gonna go today. How are you, Dorman Cost? Okay, it seems like my stream is doing fine. Okay, let's open up our little to-do list here. Okay, I think we're pretty much in this type of a thing right now. So random stats, power up, all that good stuff. So we're almost there. I think we are like 80% of the way to getting the characters to work again, but with the new system and more stats. So let's get our timer running. Start. There we go. And let's get some work done. Okay. So currently, if you play the game, all the characters, most of their code has been reworked to work to use some kind of a standard or general script, non-specific thing, right? So and they all load their own little level up screen every time. Now the problem is, okay, so we still have this one, which is not technically a character. That's just the prefab that I used to edit the that I put in there to edit it with. But then we have the wizard, ranger, and knight. Now in our hierarchy, you can see which is which, sort of, because it gives it a name. Now it doesn't do that over here, but if I click, for instance, on max health plus 20, and you go to, I think that was the wizard. Yeah. The wizard health went up to 320. And if I give him lifesteal went up. Regen, move speed, tech speed. So that is the wizard on top of it there. And I can do the same kind of thing with all of them, and it works. If I go to the ranger, you can see it's there's some random stats that went up. And to the knight, dodge chance and health regen. So there's some random stuff that went up as well. Okay, so it's doing something over there. So the UI is working to some extent. Now, the one thing that we don't have at all is the portraits don't change, which is kind of bad. The names don't change, and I don't show their current level or kill count. So these, I think I need to go and make work now. And potentially, I think it'll be kind of cool if the background color is different for the different characters. So, let's give it a go. Let's give it a go. I also might want... Is my file explorer not working? Well, that's amazing. Oh, there we go. Is it gonna open 20 times now? Yes, it is. Yeah, I just want to see. I think I have character portraits somewhere. Let's see. Robin, for instance. I don't see anything here. Yeah, I don't see them. Okay, I can't find them. Let's make some character portraits, right? Doesn't have to be that fancy. Can literally just do something like this. This would be our Robin. Let's see if we can't get a... no, I think the light's coming from the side. So this is going to be... Let's get out our snipping tool. There we go. We got a character portrait for the Robin. Okay, we can save this. Not there. Let's save it in the Robin. Call it the Robin Ranger Portraits. There we go. And now we just need to get one for the wizard. Snip. Save. Characters. Owl. The owl. Wizard portrait. Goody. Okay, we got all our portraits. So what I think we're gonna do is use our scriptable objects for this. So in the night scriptable object, we can have an image over here, and I think that image is going to be the portrait, right? So let's just see, where did I save this? Right there. So we can drag it in. Okay, so something is not right here. So let's just go see. Okay, I think also I want to close. Oh, okay, I just closed everything. Character stats SO. It's okay. So I think the image... character portrait, yeah, it's an image, which is this should rather be a sprite. I think sprite is the correct thing it should be. Yeah, so if it's a sprite, then I can drag the character portrait for the knight in there. Also, let's grab the other portraits while we're at it. So the owl. Okay, we can just go to portraits. Here's our portrait for the owl. And Robin portrait. There we go. Okay, now we first need to make these into a sprite 2D and UI texture. Okay. This is a single sprite. And I don't think we need to change anything else. You just apply. Okay, and then the ranger, make it a sprite as well. And make it a single sprite. And apply. Okay, cool. We've done it. Now we've got the sprites. So now we just need to go back to our scriptable objects. Get the knight. Drag his... Jeez, like it. Okay, drag the portrait in there. For the ranger. Drag the portrait in there. And finally, for the wizard, we drag the portrait. Okay, so cool. Now, inside the scriptable object, we have all the portraits showing, which means we should be able to reference that in our UI. So that would be the first thing we try and do. So in this UI, we have a... Do we have a reference for the image? Yeah, character portrait. There it is. So I think when we connect the character, we should change the portrait. So we can say character portrait, which is image dot sprite. Character stats SO. Yeah, that should be it. That should really be it. And then we can also do character name dot text, character stats SO, character name. Maybe we do character data instead, actually. Character data dot, come on, dot character name. Okay, so this is not a string necessarily, so we can do string dot format. Okay, then we do something like this. Okay, so we take this, we format it into a string. Now that might work, but it's also possible that I might have to do a toString and replace something. I can't remember exactly what this looks like. So we look at the formatting now. Okay, so that's two of the things. Okay, this will update that. Oh. Okay, wait, let's put this actually then. Okay, so we're not going to update the character name every single time. We just have to set that once. Levels, kill points, and kill count we should update. Or call that the first time as well. So what we can do is call this function. So now, when we connect the character, we connect the sprites, we connect the name, we change the name, and then we update the levels, skill points, kill count. Yeah. And the levels should be nothing. Skill points should be, I think, it's going to show as nothing. Okay, we're going to have to change this so it's not in the character SO anymore, but okay, for now, let's just let's test it quick. You know, just a sanity check. Make sure everything works before we go too far. And let's drink some coffee while it compiles. Wizard, Ranger, Knight. Great stuff. Okay, so I'm not a fan of the way they named it. So I think I want to get the full names. So I'll have to go change that. But this still works. And we got the nice portraits. The Ranger looks a bit weird, but the other guys look pretty good. Okay, so let's go change the naming so it's not just Wizard, Ranger, or Knight. So I think this we might have to do in the player manager. Not in player movement, player manager. Yeah, so currently this is the selected character. So we should call this Chicken Knight, Robin Ranger, and the Owl Wizard, right? Maybe we even do it with underscores, I think. That would be good. Okay, now I do not believe anything changed. Because this should update it automatically throughout the code wherever I had a reference to that enum. Okay, so there are errors now. Oh, jeez, I should have... Okay, let's just undo all of that. Okay, let's see. Okay, that should at least fix the issue that I created for myself. Yes. Okay, so let's try this the correct way. I think if I do RR, I can do chicken underscore knight. If I rename them like this, it shouldn't make a difference. Robin Ranger and Owl Wizard. Okay, so this should be better. Now it should have changed everywhere else as well. So now in the level up UI, we do want, when we get the string, we want to format it something like this. Right, where we basically get the name and we change it to a string and we replace the underscore with a space. Okay, so that should work well. Okay, now for the level, so level, skill point, skill count, this should all actually be tracked now in character data. So we can go character, yes, like character, come on, character data dot level. Apparently, there's no such thing in our character data script. Why not? Yeah, so we should really have level here. So this would be a public int level. Then we also have, so these are just things that we track. Public float current XP, so just how much experience we have. Let's just call it experience. Current XP is fine. Current experience. Okay, kill count, level, current experience, right? So that's okay. So let's at least put it there. So then we have skill points. Actually, how is the skill points working at this point? So let's see, every time we apply a stat, okay, we do that debug for some reason. Still skill points left, minus, minus, skill points dot text. Skill points left is equal to 0. So skill points left is where? Okay. It's just a temporary thing, I think, that I put in here. Okay, cool. So we want to keep track of that. So along with the level, the amount of experience, we also want to keep track of our skill points. Right? The UI shouldn't keep track of how much skill points you have. You should keep track, or the character data should keep track. Okay. Okay, so now we can do character data dot as skill points, and I think character data dot kill count. So all of that should be somewhere there. Okay, now what I would like to do is get rid of this variable, which breaks a lot of things, obviously, like those. Okay, so here what we will do is we'll do character data dot skill points. Okay, and then everywhere okay, pretty much like that. So we look at the character data skill points instead of the other skill points. Okay, and now what we can do, just for testing purposes, is we can give all the characters a little bit of skill points just so we can actually get through the testing. Alright, so let's see. So our knight character should have skill points. Let's give him 5. The ranger, let's give her 3. And the wizard, let's give him 8. Right? Just for seeing if this works. I have full confidence. Yeah, so the owl wizard level. So now the skill points are more. And they still update the same way they always do. That's good. Okay, cool. Okay, and the level and kills, obviously those are 0 because we don't track those really. But I can type something in if I just want to test. But I'm pretty sure the fact that they reset to 0 means they work fine. Okay, next up. So let's just go to 2D mode and zoom in on our UI. Okay, so all of that works and is connected. Let's change the color. So in our scriptable object for the character, where the hell? Okay. So in our scriptable object for the character, so these are all like the basic info or the identity of the character, but I also want a public color. So I wonder if I can... Okay, so if I just give him a character color, right, what does this look like in the inspector? How does color serialize in the inspector? Hopefully it gives me like a nice color picking wheel or something like that. But I have no idea. So let's see. So night stats color. Okay, cool. Yeah, we can click here. Nice. Okay, so we can make the night like a good red. And we make the opacity like 220, I think. That should be okay. Yes. Okay, the Ranger, we make her a nice green. And the opacity, I'm going to try and keep the opacity the same for all of these. So 220, maybe a bit of a darker green, perhaps, I don't know. Okay, that's it. And then the Wizard, you can be like a nice purple with a 220 opacity. Okay, so now they each have a color. And what we can do now is when we set them up, so when we do the spawn in, level up UI, do I have a way to, so I think it's this one, the background. So let's see, background dot color equals character stats so dot character color. Right, would that work? I don't know. Let's test it. It might be there might be a problem with the whole color being 32-bit or whatever the case might be. That's a thing that I saw previously with the text. Hi, look at that. I like that a lot. Okay, that's very good. That's very good. So they each have now a nice color. They have separate levels, their own names and portraits. Okay, so now we just need to get some more functionality going, like show more character stats, for instance. Yeah, this is just basically, I wanted to show up as a window over here. So that you can see what's realistically a good idea to upgrade. Right? We can even make it a pop out onto this side, actually. I think that'll make the most sense. Yeah, because we still have a bunch of space over here. Yeah, so let's create empty, and we'll call this more character stats menu. Stats UI. Okay, where did it create that? I think it needs to be there somewhere. Yeah, it's not going to be in the main holder. Okay, so let's see. So we might want it somewhere here. Right, and the size it can take up. It can take up this space. Something like this. Right? Okay, so let's just fix this up. So you know what? Let's make it so it goes to that side, and let's make the position X 0. So then you can really take up all that space. So let's just give it like a 50 spacing on that side. 0 there. So now it folds up our... Well, now it's just centered, right? Okay, width 350. That's good. Height. Actually, what is the height of this thing? Oh, it's just full. Okay, what's the height of this thing? 850. Some random number. Okay, 850. Okay, cool. So we have a character stats pop up over there. Okay, and so inside of here, we want to put a panel. Right, and I think we're going to make this the sprite one. I think it's UI sprite. Right? That's what I made these other ones. Let's just see. Icon holder, skills, skill points. Yeah, UI sprite, and it's just completely white. It's just the alpha value is not as high. Should we make the alpha value similar to this one's? Yeah, maybe we do that instead. So in our main holder, or we just use a background. Okay, let's copy components, and then this one we paste component values. Okay. So this is again our background. Okay, now all we really want here is a couple of text elements. So let's see, UI text mesh pro. So we'll call this the the heading. Or just character name. So that one, we want that separate. And then we want another one which is just going to be character stats. Okay. Okay, so the character name, let's put it on the top there. And we just get rid of all the info. We can actually just let it stretch. We make this 0, 0. Right. Okay, now let's work with the text. Make it centered. And make it black and bold. And let's see, chicken night. Make it all caps. Chicken night. We can let it auto size. I think that's okay. Make it auto size, and let's give it some padding like 5 and 5, just so it's not all the way up to the sides. Let's just switch off game playing UI so I can see what this would look like. Like, it's not great, but it's something. Okay, cool. And then we can take the other one, character stats one. And let's make this one. Let's actually do the same thing. So make it 5, 5. If we make this 0, it's going to be on top there. Let's make it -50. Maybe like 65. Yeah. That looks good to me. Okay, this one, we're gonna let it not wrap. We'll still make it bold and uppercase and black text. And I think the size of the text will be less, like 30 or 28. Okay, and this is gonna say something like damage is 20. Now, I wonder if I want to do it like that, or if I want to do it similar to how I did it with the original UI. Okay, so here what I did was I did some spacing stuff to make it look better. I like that. I think I'm gonna try and duplicate this. So let's see how I did that. Okay, so you had the heading, stats UI. So in stats UI I had labels and values. Okay, cool. And it's just the two. Okay. So if I copy this and okay, let's just go back, hide it, and let's get our new character level up UI. Okay. Put them inside there. Looks something like that. Okay, we can move it about now. Now that looks fine, right? Okay, let's just change the Y, -65, I think that was okay. And then we can change the sizing and stuff like that. So I think the text size can be 24, no problem, or 28. Okay, and the value size can be 28 as well. Okay, we can also make this bold and black. And do we want it uppercase? I'm not sure, actually. Let's keep it lowercase. I think that's okay. Okay, and this one we make bold and black too. Okay, so let's see. In terms of positioning, let's just make this 0. Oh, okay, make it 5. So it's just a little bit away. And then this one, I'd have to move it over to there or something like that. Okay, so let's see why. Okay, so like the movement speed and max health, the colons are oh, is that just the tabs? Let's get rid of the whoopsie. That's not what I wanted to do. Okay, let's try something like this instead. Now we can position them at like 15 from the side. And let's check our stats. Let's actually align them to the opposite end. And make it 15 as well. Ah, okay, wait. It'll need to be -15. And we change the alignment of the text to be on the other side. Okay, that's okay. And what we can do instead is we could put the colon space here. Write something like that. Yeah, that way it'll be aligned more often, I think. It might not actually, now that I think about it, because if you have... Yeah, no, it's not gonna... It won't work. It won't work. So what's gonna happen is this. If you have, let's say, 10 damage and 0 attack speed, let's say your health, which is this one, is 500. Yeah, then the colons are all over the place again. Okay, let's duplicate this. Stats, call it colon. I also need to change stats values, not night, just stats values. Okay, so let's change this to just be a bunch of colons. Let's see what this does. Okay, so if we have the colons now and we move them, not in the Y, in the X. Like -70, and then the values, just make them normal values again. I mean, there's probably a better way of doing this. I'm doing it the dumb way, though. Yeah, I mean, that technically does something. I don't know. They should line up. I think they line up. Okay, so let's just leave that as is, and let's go. Okay, so our main holder. No, wait. Who has the? Where's the script now for this thing? Oh, wait. Yeah, no, it's this thing. Okay, so this. Okay, so how do I want to do this? Is this just part, or is this whole thing just part of this UI? In some weird way? It should kind of be, right? Yeah, so what if I take the more stats UI and I actually just make it part of this thing? Right, so now it's there inside of our chicken. It's got some weird positioning and stuff like that, but this way, yeah, I could add the text stuff to this. Okay, so let's go here, and let's add some stuff. Okay, so this is now more stats UI stuff. Okay, so what we need here is a public tmp pro.tmp underscore underscore text. Text. Okay, so this would be character name more character name text for more stats. Okay, let's actually put this more stats character name text. Okay, and then we have a public team. Okay, so we have 2 more of these actually. Okay, so let's say they're gonna be more stats, labels. Oh, come on. Labels and more stats values. Okay, so those are the 3 things we need to reference, and then we can go from there. Goody. Let's go for it. So in Unity, we just plug them in for a start. Okay, so more stats character name text. So in this. Oh, did I put it inside of the background? That might have been not what I wanted anyway. Okay, more stats character name text. More stats labels. And more stats values. I actually need a reference to the more character stats UI itself, because I might want to hide that, right? When that button is pressed. Well, actually, what I can do... Okay, let's just apply all. What I can do is I can just take the button, so the show more stats button, it's connected to the show more character stats. Okay, we can do that. We can also do this. We just say set active true, and then also so set active to true. Or could we do a toggle here? Maybe we just don't do it there then. Okay, but anyway, so then we need in the code, we need a reference to it. So it's going to be a public game object, more stats UI. Okay, so let's see. I have a function here which says show more character stats. Okay, so the first thing we can do is say I wonder if I want to have this thing so it should show it, but what I'm thinking is going to happen now is if you click show, the other characters might also click show, and then they kind of overlap. So do I want to... Yeah, this is a tricky one because one of the problems will be... So if you click this button and it pops up, and you click another one, it'll pop up over top of it. And it's not necessarily always going to be the right ordering. So we can make it that if you click it again, it goes away. Or we can make it so this actually goes on top of this, and then there's a hide button here instead to get rid of this, so that you can't actually click anything here when this is up. Yeah, maybe we do that. So we just hide all the other information for the other characters until you hide it. Right. Okay, let's see how that would work. There's another thing I'm thinking about, and that's like, what if somebody wants to see all the characters, so all 4 characters' stats simultaneously? You know, what if you want to see the Chicken Knight, the Ranger, at the same time when you decide what to level up? So do you need to potentially have all this information when you level up every time? Maybe. Right? It's possible. Okay, we can think about that in terms of the placement. So it might it's gonna be a pain though. There's enough space technically, but yeah, it's gonna be a pain. Okay, let's get one working, and then we can figure that out. Okay, but when we click the Show More Character Stats button, what we want to do is, well, so we want the More Character Stats UI to appear. So more character stats UI dot game object set active true. Right. What we can actually do is we can do if more character stats UI dot game object. What does active self mean? Okay, so if it's active, we can set it to false, and else so if it's already active, we can set it to false. Otherwise, when we click this button, it needs to be set active, right? So true. Okay, so that could be the first thing that we do when we click the button. Okay, then we should update the okay, so let's think about this. We are continuously applying upgrade, right? So we're upgrading the stats and then randomizing them, changing our skill points and changing. Okay, so what we can do is we can... this might just be for showing or hiding the character stats. Okay, but then we might have a function here that actually... something like private void update more character stats UI. Okay, so whether or not it's shown or not doesn't really matter, but we do want to update this at least. We have to have some way of updating this. So maybe we can update it every time we show or hide it, but actually we want to update it every time we apply an upgrade as well. Okay. And we can do that only when it's active, for instance. So we can check like that. Yeah. Okay, so the way we can do this, I think I did this previously in the progression manager for some reason. Yeah. This is the kind of thing I did. Yeah, showing it like that. Okay, so the first thing we want to update maybe, and maybe we do that at the start somewhere. Or after we connect the character. Yeah, I think so. So after we connect the character, we can add the labels, right? We can get the labels and the names done. So we can do more stats, more character stats, character name. And we can actually do this exactly the same way we do this one. So that would just be equal to this. Okay, y dot text. Okay, then we can do more stats labels dot text. Okay, now this one's going to be interesting because this I need to go okay, do I type them out? What do I do here? Okay, so let's see. We have a dictionary. Random stats to upgrade. We also have a list of stats SOs, character stats. Yeah, so we can go through the list, I guess, and add everything manually. The labels. Okay, well. Okay, so let's see, string dot format. Okay, so there's kind of a few ways we could do this now. We could just add them ourselves. Or we could do this kind of thing. And we do backslash new line, right? I'm not sure how many lines there are. Now, there might be a better way of doing this. Probably is. Okay, 0 through to 12, and we don't need the new line at the end. Okay. So now all we do is we do character stats, which is a list of character stats SO. So character stats dot well, character stats, we need the first index dot stat name dot to string. This might work. What I'm thinking is the stat names. Okay, so this might be an issue. So if I could just go look at the stat names, let's just see what they are named currently. Okay, so we go here, we go to our scriptable objects somehow eventually. Come on. Stat SOs. Right, so this one's fine, it's named armor. Oh, it is underscore. Okay, somebody thought about this. Oh, yes, because I needed to do this with those. Okay, perfect. Okay, so this is fine. So actually what we do is a toString like that. Right. Okay, and we literally do this for every stat. Right, so it's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, this feels bad. 10, 11, and 12. So, okay, so this doesn't feel good. So it feels like we should have used some kind of a loop through it, and then maybe add to the string. I'm not entirely sure how to do that. So I think it's I think it's concatenates the word. Let's see if Unity or the internet to string okay string plus string and string. Okay, so it seems like there's a lot of ways we can do this. Okay, so you can use string.concat, string plus operator. Okay, so let's try that instead, because I don't like this. Okay, so we can do for. Oh, we can just do for each, right? So for each stat SO stat in what is this one? Character stats. We want to do something. So let's define our well, actually, Let's see more stat labels dot text. Alright, I'm gonna figure this out now. Just have to go to the restroom real quick. Show you that thing. Hide this thing. 2 minutes. I'm back. Decided to grab myself a coffee as well. Okay. So let's continue with this. So, okay, so what if we do this text equals to more stat labels dot text plus, so if I do this string dot format, right? And I do, I just do this, right? This kind of thing. So we do one of those, \n, and we plug in one of those. Right, would this just work? Maybe. So we can do now, instead of character stats, we just do stat stat name to string, right? Because we got it over there. Oops. So I think this would work. So we go through the stats, and then we concatenate. So we could do a plus equals, I guess. That's what they think is. Yeah, so we just add to the more label stat text this stuff. So we just do 0 there. And we go through each stat and just add the stat name. That's so much better. Okay, so let's save that. Now, this is going to be a pain for everything else, though. I think. So actually updating the stats might be a pain. Okay, but let's just see. I just want to see if this works. So if I go... Oh, wait. If I go to Unity now and play the scene, I should get all the stats that I have available. Theoretically. Oh yeah, and obviously for each of them as well. Okay, wait, let's just... okay, let's hide that one. Hide that one. Hide that one. Okay, so that's too many stats, it seems. Wow. Okay, it also did some bad stuff. Okay, let's stop this. Because there was already a bunch of nonsense in here. So I need to delete that entirely. Okay, let's play again. Yeah. So it added the things, but it added it to that because I didn't do it correctly. Okay. Where's my UI stuff? Okay, so let's just hide those and just see chicken nights. Okay, damage, all the good stuff is there. Okay, so what I'm noticing, first of all, doesn't fit. So the stat labels are too long. Okay, so maybe we just reduce the line spacing. Yeah. So line spacing of about 30 would be good for this. Okay, noted. So let's go change this. Prefab. More character stats. Okay, so the labels, we want them to have a line spacing of 30. And we also want to get rid of all that. I think I'm just going to get rid of the colons. Okay, and then the values. Let's get rid of that, and let's just give it a line spacing of 30 as well, so that they can line up. Okay, cool. So now, the next thing would be the values, right? So that was the easy part, I think. Okay, so we can get rid of all this nonsense. Okay. Yeah, so that was the easy part. So this just adds more stats labels. Okay, so now we need to update the actual more stats UI. Okay, so that would obviously be our okay, we need to think about this now. So I think we need to go through all the stats again, right? See, we get this character data, upgrade stat. We could put in a stat name and an upgrade amount, right? And then it'll update the character data accordingly. Yeah, so my current problem will be connecting them. So I can't just connect because it's a text, right? It'll also be something like a text that needs to be updated. So I'll need to run a similar loop every time I update this. But the problem is the stat that I need to update now and the ordering. So I want the stats, I want it to order in the same way, right? But I need to get the values from, so let's see. So if we have a specific stat name that we enter into here, can we go into character data and do something similar to this, but it's now not, it's a get stat instead. So switch case for get stat. Because, yeah, my problem is I'm going to have a stat. They're not going to line up exactly the ordering. Yeah, so if I do this. Make a big get stat function. So when you get the stat, you have to you have to give it a stat name to get. Again, nothing else. You don't need an upgrade amount. So depending on which stat you get. So if you want damage, we return damage, for instance. Okay, so we return a float, not a void. Wait. Over here. get stat, so we return a float. Right, we don't need the upgrade amount. So over here, we don't get upgrade amount, we just return damage. Now, I'm not a fan of this way of doing this, but so technically I should set the stats like this as well, which I actually do. So yeah, so I just keep track of it here, but actually upgrading the stat, I do it this way. So you need to insert this, and then getting the stat, I also need a stat name to get a stat. Yeah, that's interesting. Don't know if this is good practice necessarily, but we'll go with it. Okay, get rid of all the breaks because they don't do anything. What? Okay, there we go. So depending on what we get, we return. Now we can still access them. Okay, what's happening here? Okay, so I should have a default, right? Default, just return nothing. Okay, if it's none of the cases, just return nothing. Okay, so I will admit I'm not crazy about this. It does feel like it's a bit duplicatey, right? If you think about it, so I need to get a stat with a stat name, and then it goes through this. I feel like I should have been able to not have switch cases like this. Might have been a dictionary, right? Where the key is the stat name, and the value is obviously whatever it is. And then we can just always access the dictionary with the stat name, and then either increase it by an upgrade amount or just get it. Yeah, that's probably the way to do it. Now, I wouldn't see the stats inside of my inspector if it's a dictionary, right? But I do like the fact that we just use a dictionary with the stat name as a key. That does seem better. So let's do something. Public dictionary. Okay, so let's see, dictionary. Okay, so the key would actually not be that. It will be a stat so. No. Stat so dot stat name, and this will be a float, right? The value, and this would be my character data dictionary. Well, upgradable. The upgrade. Upgrade character data. Dictionary. Okay, so if you think about it, so now it's a... So some stat name and a float. Right. Okay, now I can see we're gonna have to initialize this with all the different stat names. Okay, well that's so what we need for the character data is maybe just a list of all the stats. Right, and then we can go through the list of stats to populate this dictionary with all these values that are now just basically start values. So we're not affecting these directly, we're affecting the values stored in the dictionary. Effectively. Interesting. And then we just use a key to access something in the dictionary whenever we need it, right? And the other things, we don't necessarily need keys for those. Yeah, I do like that. I think it's more elegant that way. Okay, so what we'll need then as well is just a list of all the character stats. So what we might do actually is create the character stats list inside of character data, right? Then create the dictionary. And then actually this thing gets from character data, it gets the stats list. Yeah. So we do something like character stats equals character data dot yeah, okay. I think I see where I'm going with this. Right, I just want this list to be in one place. And it makes sense if it's in the character data, more so that it's in some UI element, right? So character stats stat list. Let's call it the stat SO list. Character stat SO list. Okay. Then in a start or an awake function, we can do for each stat stat SO do we want the whole stat SO in the dictionary? Stat I don't know. Maybe we don't. So we can do upgrade dictionary. Well, first of all, we need to create a new dictionary, right? Right, so we need to create a new dictionary, and then we say, okay, dictionary, how do you access this again? Is it like this? Yeah. Stat equals ooh, I can now see some issues here already. Okay, so I can't even loop through this because I have the same problem. This is quite interesting, right? So we can see now there's a couple of issues here. So there's a disconnect between these values and this scriptable object, right? What is this? Non-invocable member character data, upgrade character data dictionary cannot be used like a method. Okay, I don't want to invoke it. I just maybe want the key. Yeah, so I want the stat name to correspond to this value that I insert. But these aren't stat names, right? These are just some words. That's very interesting. Yeah, so I don't even know what stat name I have currently. So let's say it's damage. Yeah, okay, then I want it equal to damage. But there's no real way to check what stat name I have. Unless I call this function over here, like another switch case, to figure it out. To populate the dictionary initially, right? Once the dictionary is populated, then we can just use it, no problem. So basically we need some kind of a switch case like this just to be able to populate the dictionary initially. Right, so what we can do, so for stat name we can say, for instance, equals, and then we can do a get stat, which is kind of dumb, and we enter the stat name, right? And now what it'll do is it will populate the dictionary by using this getStat function. So it gets the damage because it got the damage name and it populates it into the dictionary. So now going forward, this dictionary will have all the stats inside of it, which means when we upgrade the stats, we could actually just access the dictionary instead. Right, but we still needed this thing. We needed to have a switch case to just link the stat name damage, which is an enum, to the variable damage. Yeah, it's very interesting. I don't know if there's a better way of doing this. Obviously, inside my stats SO, I could have inserted the values, right? But these are not values that I want to insert there. They should be separate. Okay, but that's an interesting issue. Okay, but now, basically, we don't need this thing to work the same way it used to. All we need to do here now is access our upgrades dictionary. We access the stat. With stat name. And no, we don't get stat. We just do a plus equals upgrade amount. So now it will access the dictionary and will add the upgrade amount to the stat. from that dictionary. Now, technically we don't even need this now. Yeah, because technically when we upgrade the stat, we can just do this, right? We could just do character data dot upgrade dictionary stat name plus equals the amount, right? Why do we want to? We have access to that dictionary. So we can just straight up reference it with the stat name, right? Okay, and then every time we upgrade the stats, we can do a very simple thing where we go for each stats stat so stat in character stat. So we go through the list and we can literally just do more stats values dot text, and we plus equals to it string dot format. We do one of these 0 \n comma stat. Well, so we would just want the value, right? Okay, so what we do now is we do character data dot upgrade character data dictionary. Right. And we insert our stat dot stat name. Now, every time the update more character stats UI is called, which we can do that here once, and then every time we add a skill, so, whoops, every time we do add a skill, we update the more character stats UI as well. Right, so we upgrade the we change the value, then we randomize the upgrades, and then we update the character stats. Right, that should work out. Now, the only thing is we need to make sure all of our character stat lists are in fact correct. So this list, I actually don't want it to be a serialized field. So what we can do is we can do character stats equals character data dot character data dot, this must be public. Right, and we keep this private. So we have a reference to it, but we don't actually want to do anything with it. And, you know, we can call it the same thing. Just so it's more descriptive. I think that's good. So the character stat SO list is now equal to the one that the character data contains. Which means in Unity I need to go add that list again. Okay, but now... Okay, and also this get function can be private. Because nothing should ever want to get doing this. And actually, we don't have to... We can call it a set dictionary values. Set dictionary values function. Right, so basically what we're doing is on awake, we're taking our dictionary, we're setting the values based on the stat name, and that's it. And none of this is required anymore. Right, all of this code is pointless. This is used once when we set the dictionary from these values, just as a starting point, right? And this might be useful. So we're basically saying that, look, we obviously want to be able to tweak the values a little bit in the inspector. And then upon starting the game, we want a dictionary with those values connected with a stat name as a key, so that we can easily access any stat name's value for that character. Right, so that at least gives us all our upgrade values, right? And then we might now have to do some manual stuff for the other stats, potentially. But at least these should now work very well, I think, most of the time. Okay, so we are updating the stats. And we can show and hide our stats as well. I already see a problem with this, actually, now that I think about it. Yeah, this is going to be an issue. Okay, so let me show you the issue that I just realized. Okay, so since this window here with the more character stats is connected to this guy, depending on its position, this will also change. Right, so if I play, and let's see if it actually starts the right way. Okay, so I should have plugged some stuff in. My bad. Okay. Now I have this problem. So this character stat SO list I don't want to add it like that. That's bad. Okay, so let's try something else. What if we made a scriptable object of the list? Or maybe just a mono behavior script, actually. A scriptable object with a list of scriptable objects, and that's all it is. That seems weird. Okay, but let's do it for scalability, right? Okay, so let's create a scriptable object. Stat SO list SO. So it's the stat SO list scriptable object. Okay, fine. And all we want this thing actually to have is this list, right? The list of all my character stats, right? Save. And then over here, yes, we want a list like that, but and it can be public, I guess. Actually, now, how the hell? So, what I actually want here is a... something like this. A serialized field, private, stat, SO, list SO. And we call it the character stat SO list SO, right? So that we plug in to the inspector. And then we still have the character stat list. Right, and basically what we do... you know what, we actually don't need that now. So what we do instead is we take this thing... Okay, let's just rename this to stat SO list. Now this is weird, but it feels like it's solving a problem for me. So we want basically this thing dot stat SO list. Okay. I'll go with it. So we don't need this at all. Oops. Okay, and then basically wherever we want to have a reference to this list of stats, we could just use this scriptable object instead. Theoretically. Right, so in our UI we can plug it in to there as well. So do one of these. Stats. Okay, wait. Don't need you there. Don't need you there. Can we take this and rename it? No. And there we go. You know, this is kind of dumb. Because I still have this character scriptable object thing. The character stats SO. So I could have just used that for that data, for the character stat list. Yes, I could have done that. I should have done that. Let's go do that instead. Okay, so this is dumb. And because it's just dumb. Let's just go. Just get rid of this. Just act. This didn't happen, right? Let's just say that. Okay, so we don't do that. We can incorporate this into our character stats SO. Okay, so right now we can delete this, and then in our character stats SO, we can have this list of character stats, right? List stat SO character stats SO list. Right, so we actually already had it in there. I was just being dumb. Okay. Do I want to call this thing character stats SO? Maybe we just call this a character scriptable object. Right? How many things did I just break? Potentially a thing. Okay, so now in our character scriptable object, we should have the stats list. So in our character data, what we want instead is a character SO, and we call this the character SO, right? And then over here, hey, this guy. Thank you. Happy 4-day weekend to you too. So over here, we want to do, how's your first day been? Yeah, that seems good. Not bad. That's great. I decided to give myself a lot of work today. Off-stream work, I mean. So this is obviously a little bit of work, but it's not so bad. Wait, yeah, no, okay. That came out of nowhere. Yeah, so I'm gonna move my entire office. I decided. I have decided. Okay, get rid of that thing. This is now just a character SO. And we want to replace this with a character SO, character stats SO list. Okay, that seems good. Save that. I think this list is actually still populated, if I remember correctly. How long have you been working on this game for your son? You might have told me already, but I forgot. Two years, okay, so you had a slow start, I guess. Like we all should, right? Alright, so now our night stats has this list again, ranger stats. Ah, damn it. You see now, I don't like this. So I want this list of stats, or stats SO list, to be consistent for all the character stats, right? And if I have to populate this manually for every character, it's a very good chance that I might mess it up, right? Like, let's say I forget to give the knight the armor stat, and then, you know, I don't know, it doesn't work. Then I have to go and add this. I'm all about scalability now. I just want this to work from the get-go. So am I going to make a scriptable object that is already a list and then just plug that into my scriptable object? Is that good? That feels terrible. I did that and I deleted it immediately because it felt horrible. So I make a new scriptable object that's literally just a list of scriptable stats. And then I plug that scriptable object, which I only have one of, right? It's a one of, into every single one of my character stat SOs. Or character SO now. That feels like bad things. Could I do this in a better way? Probably not. Because I want to, if in the future, let's say I add a stat or I remove a stat, I just want to remove or add it from that list and then it updates everything. I don't want to go to every single character and manually remove that. So I guess I should have a stat SO list SO. Fantastic. So this would be a stat scriptable object. Yeah, so basically, if I'm reading that correctly, that is what I'm doing, right? So you're saying I should create a scriptable object that contains all my stat scriptable objects, and then for every single character, I assign the list of those scriptable objects. And if I want to change one or remove one, or whatever the case might be, it'll automatically remove or change them for all every time. So literally all I want here is a like a list of type with type stat SO. Okay, and this would be a stat SO list. Okay. So now that exists, I can basically create a scriptable object as stat so list so, and inside this list, or inside this thing, it obviously have the stat so list there. So you could just add, lock you, add all these stats to there, and that one. Okay, so now I have a list of scriptable objects inside of a scriptable object. And if I give this list of scriptable objects to my characters, they'll have a reference to it, and if I change it ever, it'll change for all characters every time. So here, instead of wait. So instead of a list of stat so, I should have a public as stat so list of stat so. Stat so list of stat so. So now there's a reference to this thing inside of here. And then, cool. So now it'll appear here for the night. And we can basically just add the list to the knight, and then to the ranger, and to the wizard, or in an opposite direction. Okay, so now it is there. Okay, so now wherever I reference the stats list, I don't want it to do it like that. So that would be in. So for instance, in character data, right, I reference it like this. So it's going to be character data dot character. It's going to be stat so list dot stats so list. And then in my level up UI, yeah, I think I got it. Okay. Not entirely happy with that. It feels icky, but hopefully it's okay. Okay, let's see. So they are dragged in, and actually what I could do now is in my character data, no, character SO, I could get rid of this one. Right. There we go. Okay, so everything might work. I actually don't know. Okay, let me go to the restroom real quick. Be right back. I have returned. Okay, let's get on with it. Okay, so let's play this now and see what happens. Probably some bad stuff. Right, yeah, some bad stuff. Like I said. Okay, so we have some problems with some keys not being in dictionaries. What? Okay, wait. It goes from there. So key not found exception. The given key armor was not present in the dictionary. Okay. So the wizard. Okay, we have a null reference exception. Oh wait, did I not? I didn't plug in the, okay. I didn't plug in all the character stat scriptable objects for all of them. Yeah. So the knight character would ideally want to have a reference to that, and the ranger, right, want a reference, and the owl would want a reference. Yeah, because what's currently happening is that they try to create their little list thing, but obviously it couldn't because I never gave them a reference to their character scriptable objects. Okay, let's try now. That was one of the problems. Okay, we still have a problem, and this is now... Okay, this is this one, which... technically, I mean, shouldn't even be there, but yeah. Okay, but the other ones do something. Okay, so this is the one issue I am having. So obviously, depending on the position of these things, and since the position of this tab over here is linked to the position of this tab, they kind of move relative to one another, and that's kind of a problem. But okay, so we can see the chicken knight stats. So let's see if we click show. Okay, it doesn't work. Okay, let's not worry about that now. Let's see if we increase the health. That at least updates. So our max health is 500 at the moment. So if we click increase, that broke it completely. It just, okay. It just makes it lock. Whoopsie. Okay, clear. Now let's... we need to fix a couple of things. Alright, so the more stats UI thing, I never dragged it in there, so that's a problem. And the character SO... we should get that in code, actually. Yeah, so that's another problem. Yeah, so we need the character scriptable object. I think we do get that in SO, yeah. Yeah, we actually do get that, so that's fine. So actually, we don't need it as a serialized field anymore. We get that this way. Okay, so the updating of the stats doesn't work, right? Because I concatenate. Oh. So every time we update the stats, the first thing I should actually do is just make the text clear. Can I just do a dot clear? Dot nothing? Equals to nothing. So we just clear the text and then we set it back to whatever number it should have been. Yeah, because we concatenate here, right? So it just continuously goes down. Hey, this guy, you're back. Oh, let's try this again. And I think the button should also work now. Because I never dragged in the reference to the button. Okay, so let's see. Let's see this in action. Okay, so technically if I click this, it should hide... yeah, it hides the owl, ranger. Okay, so it doesn't hide everything. Oh, no, that is this one that it doesn't hide. Yeah, so... like I said, this tab over here is, it's linked to the position of this. It's got its position relative to this. Yeah, that's not good. So I need to figure out how to change that. Okay, but let's say we want to look at the owl and upgrade some of his stats, right? So, I don't know. Which ones can we see? Crit chance. So if I click crit chance, it goes to 5. Fantastic. Crit chance again. And max health. Max health again. Dodge chance. Armor, I can't see. Okay, so let's do some more dodge chance. Health regen. Crit damage, lifesteal. No skill points left. Okay, we don't care about the wizard anymore. Let's look at the ranger. Yeah, we can see everything for the ranger, so let's give the ranger more health. It worked. More wisdom. More crit chance. There we go. Don't want to look at the ranger, look at the chicken. Is this really all the stats we have? No, there's more stats. I also want to show some other things like kills and whatnot. But yeah, these are all the upgradable stats. At least. I believe. Is this alphabetical? How did it become alphabetical? Oh, I guess I did insert them alphabetically into the list. That makes sense. Okay, so we just click a bunch. Yeah, we can see everything went up. This one doesn't work, right? This is just the placeholder one. Okay, so now very importantly, we need to make sure the show more character stats is not positioned relative to this, but rather, you know, in its own little space. So that might be a bit tricky, right? Because this thing doesn't really know anything about its position on the screen necessarily, does it? Or maybe it does. Maybe I can read the position in the Y and then offset this thing's position by that amount. I guess I could do that. That doesn't seem too difficult, right? So yeah, so if this guy moves, so yeah, so if we, so let's test this. So let's duplicate the guy, this. So okay, so we have this one now. It's got a position of negative 380, which means, and this one has a position of 190, which is bad. Right, yeah. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so this is top left, and this one does middle. So let's just see if we just add them. So we just take 190 plus negative, okay, 615. That gives you negative 425. Okay, so we make the Y position, whatever this Y position is. Why can I ban this thing? Oh, ban. There we go. Okay, now I think I know what I need to do. So it's negative 115 minus 190. So negative 805. So we take the 615, so whatever its Y position is, and we add 805 to it. right, to get the position of this guy. So let's duplicate that and test. So if we duplicate this, we go here. So the new one should be that Y position. So 693.3333 plus 815. Right, is that right? 805, sorry. So negative that plus 805. So 11 to 11. So let's see. So if we make this 111.666. Okay. Let's just hide this one. Okay, no, so that's not correct. Yeah, man. So what should it be then? Maybe it's not that simple. Well, no, it could be that simple. No. Okay, so let's see. We have the main holder. So the position that this thing gets is from the top of the main holder, right? So it's at negative 380. Okay. And if we just add so what if we just do this? What if we just say, okay, now wait, let's just get rid of the duplication. Okay, so what if we just say, okay, look, let's get your positioning to be top left also. Okay, so 525 in this case. So it's 615, 525, and they're both now using top left. So that at least makes things somewhat better. Right. So that would be the difference from there to there is 525. No, wait, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Does it? Not entirely. Yeah, so we can't just simply do a plus whatever that negative value is. So if we make this thing, so let's say this is 615. If we make this 615, it'll be that. So minus 50. Or is it minus 100? It's like minus 90. Okay. So let's see if that makes sense, right? So we make it always the Y position, a positive version of the Y position plus 90. Or minus 90. Okay, so if I duplicate this, and I just show this one. So it's going to be this position minus 90. So 603.33333. Yeah, okay. So the absolute value of this thing's position minus 90. Okay, let's try that. So in the code, when we spawn this, let's see. So we have it connected, right? Where's this? More character stats UI. So there's the game object. Okay, so we can just say, when we connect the character stats, we could say more character stats UI dot transform dot position dot y equals the transform dot position dot y okay, let's see the absolute math.abs would give us the right thing, right? What? All right. Let's make a vector 3 equal vector 3 more character stats position equals new vector 3, and we do something like that. So the more character stat position dot x, right? And then dot z, those two are fine. And then this one would be that, right? And then we set our position equal to that position. Okay, so we create a new vector for the position. The x and the z will be in the same place, but we change the y. This seems unnecessary, but anyway, we've done it now, so it's what it is. Okay, so now we set the position to the correct place. And we can show and hide, we can update, we can do all that good stuff. I think this will work. Let's just go get rid of the placeholder stuff because it looks terrible. Okay, so our two placeholders, this one we can just delete you. This one, let's just make you inactive, right? Don't need to see you. Okay, let's play. See if this works. Ah, it did a thing. It certainly did a thing. Okay, so let's see. What did it do? So it is now... Alright, so this is the wizard stats. It's negative 180. The wizard position was negative 262. Wait. That shouldn't be negative 180. That's not at all what it should be. What? Why is it negative 180? This one is not even that. Okay, let's stop. Let's open it up. Okay, it's 525 in here. So it did do some math, it just did the math incorrectly. That's what it looks like to me. It just set it to negative 180 for all of them. Which is interesting. So maybe I'm doing this too soon. Perhaps that's possible. So we connect the game objects. So maybe it didn't get a correct position yet. I wonder when's a good time to do this. Not when we update. Surely not when we update the stats. Interesting. What if we do it at the start? So I'm thinking it's getting the absolute value of the thing would be 270, and then it subtracts 90. So this transform should be my actual UI itself, right? What if we just did... Actually, this is dumb. What if we just did transform.gameObject.get component in parent transform oh wait, this is also not gonna work. Can we do a global position instead? Maybe that's the solution. So more character stats UI dot transform dot wait, what's the problem? Oh, I misspelled it. Dot transform dot glow. So position or local position. Okay, maybe that's the problem actually. Okay, so let's just undo. Oh jeez. Okay, let's just get back to the point where we were. No, I don't want any of this. That's right. So what if we would just make it the local position? Now maybe I'm editing the wrong position. Perhaps, right? Perhaps. It's not impossible. Let's try. Let's give it a go. A quick go. Play. Okay, well, no, it's gonna... Well, I won't show this, actually, I don't think. Whoops-a-daisy. Okay. So that's not right at all. Okay, let's see what it did this time. Alright, so this guy, for instance, it's at negative. I just put it at 360. That doesn't make any sense in terms of the math. Okay. So what if we just give it a new parent? Like the character level up UI as the parent. Maybe? Could try that. Okay, so the position, changing the position to a local position did not work. And making it a position also doesn't work. Because this math just... Maybe I need to get the local position here. Maybe that's the problem. Okay, let's try that first, because if that works, then I'm happy. Then I'm happy. But it seems like I'm gonna have to do something funny now. Okay, it definitely did something differently. So there's the owl wizard. Okay, so let's see. So it's now at negative 720. Which doesn't make any sense. What position does it get? That's so weird. I do not understand what position it's getting. That's negative 720. This one. Oh, actually, they're all negative 720 now. Well, that's at least consistent. Right. So what if we just make them 0? That'll put it up there. And what if we make it 180? Like, whatever that number is. Yeah, we can totally get away with that. So how is this... Yes, like that doesn't make any sense to me. 175. Let's say that's the number. That's not quite the number, right? It's like 1 pixel off. 170. 171. So why would that be the height? What else is at that height? Where is it getting that from? This makes no sense to me. Okay, wait. The headings are at negative 72. Okay, wait, so if I make all of these 171, nah, okay, no, it's still relative to the position, so this would be at 405, for instance. Which, again, if you take it as relative to that position, it's this plus, so it's the absolute value of that plus 90. That's what I calculated it to be. Which is what I thought I was doing. Okay, well, obviously I don't need, I need to take the position here as a start. Okay, let's just stop this because it's going to break. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. I take the absolute value, right? That is what this does. I hope. We can also just do negative, whatever that is, minus 90. Maybe the math is doing something weird. Right? If we did that instead, let's see. I don't know why I'm fighting with UI so much. I need to give it a, I need to put a thing here that just sets the position. Okay, so now it's in some way different place, apparently. Well, that's insane. There's no rhyme or reason to how this is working. Okay, let's just put it at 0. Let's see what that means. What does 0 mean for this thing? And if it is actually 0, might not be 0 at all. Okay. So the owl wizard is up there, right? The wizard is up there, and its stats is at negative 630. Why? We don't know. It should be at 0. So obviously it like spawns in somehow, and then it applies a movement to it. Because this is really 0, it would be in line with the owl wizard, right? This is incredible. Okay, let's stop it right there. Okay, so next thing we can try is this. Upon starting, we can say more character stats UI dot parent set. Can we set a parent? Change. I might, you know what I might do? I might make this a prefab. I'm telling you. I might just do that. Might make it a prefab and then I instantiate it and give it a parent that's something else. So just so that it's not in a weird place in the world, right? Yeah, because right now if I get rid of this, so let's see if there's maybe a better way of doing this that doesn't entail that specifically. Yeah, the problem is it's already within this prefab, right? So technically you might want this to be at 0, for instance, so it's in line with that initially. Okay, so if I move this outside of this prefab, it's not impossible. Okay, so let's go to our UI prefabs and let's drag this in there. Okay, so this is now a prefab instead of anything else. So what we can do now is in this we can have let's just make sure the problem is we lose these Text Mesh Pro elements here. Right, we can't connect them through the inspector anymore because it's a prefab. Right? Yeah. Okay, but what we can do now is we can give this prefab its own more character stats UI. So we create a new script, call it more character stats UI, and inside the script we get this for a start. Right, so we get references to all the labels and stuff at a starting point. Okay, so that'll at least do that part for us. Then what we can do is we can do the update. So add more stats labels. So we might have to do something like a spawn. So this would be a private void spawn more character stats UI function, right? So we need to spawn the character stats UI and we need to do a few things. So let's just go to one of our spawners and see how this is typically handled. So so what I'm thinking is we should actually, inside of this character level up UI, right, we should actually create a new object, and this would be the more character stats UI. Yeah, we put it there. Okay, so we could just do something like that. And then we move it for now like somewhere there. So we would want it to be on the same. Okay, so the height's 850. Well, we could do it like this. So height will be 850, let's say. And the position will be 0. Okay, the width. I think 350 is good, right? Or 300. Then actually no, position like 50 from the side. Right, something like that. Okay, so that is now where the more character stats UI goes. Okay. Okay, so what we want to do, so we want this thing to, when it spawns in, it needs to find the more character stats UI as well. So we can actually do this with the spawn character level up UI. Yeah, so currently we do spawn UI element. We get the UI prefab. The character stats SO and the character data. Okay, so we instantiate it like that. So what we can do is, okay, we can do a main holder, but we can also do a serialized field private transform, and we can do this the more character stats UI holder. For instance, right? So we have that thing as well. And then what we do is, when we instantiate this thing, the UI prefab, can also maybe instantiate, so we can do a game object. Let's say game object more character stats UI refab equals, and we do an instantiate. Right, we instantiate, and it's gonna be the UI prefab dot more character. Okay, so we'll look at that now. Well, actually, no, wait. It's going to be in the script. Character level UI. Yeah. So actually we can get that, put it there somewhere. Okay. So we'll look at that now, but let's plug in into this thing we want. Yeah, game object, more character stats, UI. So that's a plugged in prefab. So actually, let's rename this to prefab, so we know that's the prefab we need to put in there. Okay, so then we can go here. So we instantiate not that, but the script instance dot more. So that's what we instantiate, right? So that's the object. And then what do we need? We need the transform. We need the parent. Right, and the parent will be the more character stats UI holder. Okay, so let's see. Let's see what this does to all of this nonsense. Okay. So the first thing we do. Okay, so now this thing obviously has more character stats. So this actually now should be in here instead. All right. So technically, I don't want it there, right? What I do want over here is a prefab. Which UI, more character stats, UI. Okay. So let's drag that thing. Okay, so now it's in there. So the prefab is in there. And this prefab has all its goodies. And right here, if we want to visualize this perhaps, we could drag in a prefab like that. Okay, so now we need to change this prefab to behave a little bit better. Okay, so why is it so weird? I guess it's not the prefab itself. Oh, maybe it is. So if we just change the prefab like that. Okay, wait. So it's 350. Okay, so that's okay. So this thing must also be 350 by 850. Okay, and this should be at 0, 0. Okay, so now it will spawn it in over there. This guy. I think I'm getting... Yeah, I'm fighting UI a lot, but I think I'm getting there. Let's see if this actually spawns in the first place. You know, UI placement and things, it just doesn't feel intuitive. Like I do something that I think would work. It just doesn't. Okay, so we have a null reference exception. Why? Over here? Wait. Okay. Yes, that makes sense. So they lost their references over here. Okay, cool. I get that. I understand. I understand the problem. Okay, so we got the prefab at least. So inside of that prefab, we know there exists an element of these types. So we just need to get the references to them if we want to change them directly in this code over here. That seems bad. Maybe... yeah, I don't know. This thing's fighting me too much today. You know what? I think I'm gonna call it there. So I'm really not in the mood to try and fight this now. I want to go have a long weekend, I think. And I want to move my office like I said I wanted. So that's going to be a lot of work. So the earlier I get to it, the earlier I can chill, right? But I did get some things done. This UI is just fighting me a little bit with the positioning and stuff, and now I'm trying to spawn them separately, which is also fighting me in weird ways. So yeah. Oh, I just thought of something that I could do instead. Okay, I might do that later, but not at the very moment. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me today. It was a nice and chill UI experience today. I'll see you guys next time. Cheers, eh?